April 1st, 1957. Millions of British families, living rooms, black and white televisions flickering in the evening light. The most trusted news anchor in England looks straight into the camera and tells them that spaghetti grows on trees. Not as a joke, not with a wink, not with even the smallest hint of a smile. With complete, devastating, professional authority. And millions of people believed him. Not a few confused viewers, not just the elderly or the less educated. Millions of ordinary, intelligent British people believed that spaghetti, the pasta they'd been buying in tins for years, was harvested by hand from trees in Switzerland. They called the BBC afterward, asking where to buy spaghetti seedlings. By the end of this video, you're not going to be thinking about pasta. You're going to be thinking about every piece of information you've ever accepted without question. Every expert you've ever trusted automatically. Every headline you've read and absorbed without stopping to wonder, wait, is this actually true? Because this story isn't about spaghetti. It's about the most powerful force in human psychology. And once you understand how it works, you'll never be quite as easy to fool again. To understand why this worked, you need to understand what Britain was like in 1957. The country was still rebuilding after World War II. Rationing had only ended 3 years earlier. There was a sense of seriousness in public life, a feeling that the important things mattered, that institutions existed to serve and inform, and that certain voices could be trusted absolutely. The BBC was one of those voices. Not just trusted, revered. For millions of British households, the BBC wasn't just a broadcaster. It was the voice of the nation. The authoritative presence in the corner of the living room that separated fact from speculation, reality from rumor. If the BBC said it, it was true. That was simply understood. And the anchor of Panorama, the BBC's flagship news documentary program, was Richard Dimbleby. Remember that name. Dimbleby was, at that point, arguably the most trusted voice in British public life. He had reported from the front lines during World War II. He had narrated the coronation of Queen Elizabeth. His voice was the sound of national occasions, of serious moments, of things that mattered. If Richard Dimbleby told you something on the BBC, you did not question it. You filed it away as fact and moved on. Now, it is April 1st, 1957, April Fool's Day. And somewhere in the BBC, a producer named David Wheeler has had an idea. A deeply strange, potentially career-ending idea. What if Panorama, the serious news documentary program, ran a completely fake story? Not about something complex or political. About something so simple, so domestic, so obviously impossible that surely, viewers would understand immediately that it was a joke. Spaghetti. They would tell Britain that spaghetti grew on trees. Here's what you need to understand about why this seemed like it might work. In 1957, most British people had almost no direct experience with pasta. It came in tins, already cooked, usually swimming in tomato sauce. It was vaguely Italian, vaguely foreign, vaguely mysterious. Most people had never seen uncooked spaghetti. Most people had never thought about where spaghetti came from. From wheat, presumably, or something. Doesn't it grow? Somewhere? That gap, that small, innocent gap in collective knowledge, was exactly the space the BBC was about to walk through. The segment runs for 3 minutes. Dimbleby's voice, warm and authoritative as always, explains to viewers that the Swiss canton of Ticino has had an exceptionally good year for its spaghetti harvest. Thanks to a mild winter and the near elimination of the notorious spaghetti weevil, farmers are reporting record yields. Then the footage rolls. Sunny Swiss countryside. Charming stone farmhouses. Neat hillside terraces. And farmers. Real people, filmed by a real BBC camera crew, walking between trees and carefully, gently plucking long strands of spaghetti from the branches, laying them in wicker baskets, carrying the baskets to a sunny patch of ground, spreading the spaghetti to dry in the afternoon light. Dimbleby explains, in the same voice he used to describe the coronation, that one of the most persistent challenges facing spaghetti farmers has been breeding plants that produce strands of uniform length. This year, thanks to advances in cultivation, that problem has finally been largely overcome. 3 minutes. Then the segment ends. Dimbleby moves on to the next story, and Panorama continues as normal. The BBC switchboard lights up, not with complaints, not with laughter, with questions. Thousands of British viewers, after watching that 3-minute segment, pick up their phones and call the BBC to ask one thing. Where can I buy spaghetti plants? I'd love to grow some in my garden. Sit with that for a second. These are not gullible people. These are ordinary British viewers, the same people who read newspapers, who hold jobs, who navigate complex modern lives. They watched a 3-minute segment on a news program and came away with a new belief about where food comes from. BBC staff, barely holding back laughter, give every caller the same advice. Place a small sprig of spaghetti in a tin of tomato sauce and hope for the best. Some people reportedly tried this. And here is the detail that historians find most extraordinary. The BBC Director General himself, one of the most senior media executives in the country, reportedly reached for an encyclopedia to check whether spaghetti actually did grow on trees, just in case he'd somehow missed something. The 1957 spaghetti harvest hoax is now considered the greatest April Fool's prank in broadcast history. It is studied in journalism schools, psychology departments, and media studies courses around the world. But not for the reason most people think. People assume the lesson is about gullibility, about how easy it is to fool people, about how naive audiences were in 1957. That's not the lesson. The lesson is much more uncomfortable, because the same thing is happening to all of us, every day, in 100 different ways. Here is what the BBC experiment revealed about how the human mind processes information. We do not evaluate information. We evaluate sources. When information comes from a source we trust, deeply, instinctively, without thinking about it, our critical evaluation shuts down almost completely. The information bypasses the part of our brain that asks, "Is this true?" and goes directly into the part that stores facts. Dimbleby's voice, the BBC logo, the professional camera work, the serious, measured tone, the familiar format of a news documentary. None of those things had anything to do with whether spaghetti actually grows on trees. But all of them had everything to do with whether viewers believed it did. The viewers weren't fooled by bad information. They were fooled by trustworthy packaging around false information. And here is the question that actually matters. In 1957, the trusted authority was a man in a suit on a BBC documentary. What is the equivalent today? We all have sources we trust so completely that information from them barely gets evaluated at all. It just goes in. The authoritative website, the expert with the right credentials, the platform with the right aesthetic, the voice that sounds like the voices we've always associated with being right. Spaghetti doesn't grow on trees. That was easy to check in 1957, if anyone had thought to. But the modern equivalent, the things we believe because the right person said them in the right way in the right format, those are much harder to check and much more consequential. The real legacy of the BBC spaghetti hoax isn't that people were fooled by pasta. It's the question it asks us to sit with. What are your spaghetti trees? What do you believe, completely and without question, because a voice you trust told you to? Hit like if this one got under your skin. Subscribe. 3 days, next story. See you then.